it's evident that he cares. What do you care about? Welcome to the Rock Newman Show. It's the Rock Newman Show.
The first thing we have to do to shake off our ancestral slave history is get a white man back his God. And we refuse to do that. We need to give him back his name. We refuse to do that. We think these things are not important, but they didn't do anything to us that wasn't important. Everything was designed to rob us of ourselves and make them the people that are the best. When actually, you are the best. We have the best man on the planet. Everybody want our man but us. And that's what it was designed to do.
Greetings, beloved, and thank you so very much for deciding to take a moment and to join the Rock Newman Show 2.0 today. I have a guest today that my producer Avis and I have been wanting to have on for a very long time. We look at the strife that is rampant throughout our community and so many of the dysfunctional relationships that are happening between mother and son, husband and wife, and so on and so forth. And for decades now, our guest, Shahrazad Ali, has been speaking to these issues. Oftentimes, what she has communicated has been very controversial. She stays rooted in her beliefs that she's been sharing for a very long time. Ms. Ali, it is my pleasure to host you today and to have you as a guest on the Rock Newman Show 2.0.
Well, I'm so honored, and I thank you very much for inviting me. I have seen your show too for a long time, seen different people on there, and I wasn't sure if you just had men, so I didn't ever approach you about it. I said, well, I'll just wait. They'll get around to me, and then you did.
Man, oh man. And I'm telling you, getting around to you and having to get a yes from you was indeed exciting. You know, I've got notes all over my desk, text messages from Avis about potential places to go, but I'm going to take the risk to go to something that some folks might look in and say, oh my God, you're starting at a very morbid place. But let's just start here and we can unpack it all. I heard you making the comment about seeing someone very close to you suffer before they died. And you made the comment and wrote a piece saying you want to own your own death. Would you please elaborate on that?
Well, like every other culture, when we were forced to come here, when they, enslaved us and drug us over here, we already had our own systems of politics, child rearing, life, death, food, clothes. We already had those ideas, and we had already systems that we were practicing. And one of the things that has never been challenged here is how we die. Now, we know the police kill us. We know that our open enemy kill us, but we have not ever discussed how do we want to die? How should we die? And things like that. The Indians, they had their processes, but of course we weren't allowed to pick it up or anything. And so when I say I want to own my own death, I mean, I want to decide if it's at the end and I no longer have a quality of life. And I'm a type A personality, so I don't want nobody changing no diapers and, doing all of those things. I want to decide how I want to die. And if it's by medication and go to sleep, that's painless, then I might want to do that. But I think we should have a choice instead of being forced to drag out, spend all that money, let all of the white-owned hospitals make millions and billions of dollars off of our dying process when we get to the end and we know we're no longer useful. We're just a burden on our families and our children and grandchildren. Then we need to just go on and end this and let that be the end of our story and leave our legacy intact instead of leaving our last memory, one of us curled up in the bed, not knowing anybody, and losing control of our bodily functions. I don't want that. I'm not going to have that.
I you know, I'm supposed, I've been told by folks that advise me on how I can be a better talk show host is to remain neutral. Just call balls and strikes. Remain neutral. Not necessarily to give my opinion, but to me, what you just expressed makes all the sense in the world.
It
And I'll take
does.
it.
Yeah.
I'll take it just beyond that. I want to get your thoughts on this. And I hadn't thought to ask this question, but I just want to take it to that next step. Where are you in terms of cremation versus a burial
Well,
at a cemetery?
uh, we're gonna have to go to cremation a lot of because we've already tested that if you die you're gonna come back, and if we came back there's no room for everyone, and it's very expensive. People put 10, 20, $30,000 in the ground trying to honor somebody who's not even aware of what's going on, and I don't think that that's a good idea either. I think that, like a person like myself who does not believe in life after death, okay, not a physical life, and so it's a real test for those of us who say we believe that to say, well, I'd rather just be cremated. Here's the thing: if you heat the human body to 300 degrees Fahrenheit and put a little Clorox or something in it, the body turns into mineral oil. So I had someone ask me, do you think we're already eating people? I say, well, we may not be eating them, but we certainly are rubbing them on our body and
Right.
cosmetics, because
Right.
mineral oil is used in everything. It's
Right.
like soybean oil.
Right.
And so we know that there are some other uses for the human body for that flesh than just putting it in the ground to rot and turn back into dirt anyway, back into the earth. And so I think that cremation is a good solution. And the way they do cremation these days, let me tell you, is that they leave you in the locker for 2 or 3 weeks to make sure you are really dead, even if you don't have a heartbeat. They leave you in there to make sure that you're not going to come back alive. Back in the olden days, they would put a bell on the casket so that if you did come back alive, you would ring the bell and they dig you up. But see, we don't have that. So, but no, I think that that's going to be the best way. It's too many people. Not that the earth is overcrowded. Everybody in America could live in Texas if we had to. So there's plenty of room here, but that's just a waste of useful land to keep burying people. And now a lot of cemeteries are burying people on top of each other, putting 2 and 3 caskets in the ground because there's no space. The people are dying quicker than they're being born because of abortion and so forth. And so we just need to just get a system for that, stop paying all that money, and be done with it.
2 questions and 2 what I deem to be some very, very practical and useful answers. You know, I think that in interviewing you, talking to you, sharing with you, we inevitably, it's an easy slide into controversies in terms of things that you have said, wisdom that you have imparted. And so I want to ask this. It's an open-ended question, and I already know it could be answered so many different ways. But I just want to get your thought, because I witnessed something. I witnessed something within the last 2 days that made me say, I'm gonna talk to Miss Ali about this. I saw a man and a woman. Matter of fact, I was at their home, and they got in a little spat, and it energized quickly, and they were at each other's throat. Those times when you want to just kind of disappear and be at, just
Mm-hmm.
just falling in a hole or something. And I mean, they were really at each other's throat. Well, if you do this, I'll do this. Well, you want to do that, I'll do this. And she ultimately left and slammed the door. I thought the walls were going to fall down.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was resolved. There was no agreement, I didn't know what was going to happen. I tried to make as quick and a dignified, hasty retreat as I could.
Yeah.
So I left. Haven't talked to him since. It made me think. That happens in life where there is a disagreement. Man, woman, get married, a whole lot of disagreements. But in that circumstance, what do you think should happen and how it should one have the final say? I looked at that and I was like,
Well,
I kind of
I
saw
think
both points, but
yeah.
the 2 points were polar opposites. And I'm like,
Okay.
okay, now what's going to happen?
It's unfortunate that it has grown to be like that. Most of us don't realize that in the studies that I have done, we learn how to argue and disagree with our mate in the home. A lot of times it's what we see and how we see our parents fight. If they fight in the ring and just deal with the subject, if they have enough self-control to control themselves and to tell the guest leaves and talk about it later when they're alone, or if we have actually two women arguing, the men arguing like a woman and the woman arguing like a woman. Because a lot of times we fuss at our men so long, and in order to try to defend themselves, they start talking like us. And then that's right down our alley, because then we can really let it go then, and we both, can fuss, and it sounds like two women arguing as opposed to a man and a woman. And so we have to learn how to fight in the ring. When I say fight in the ring, I mean, if we are arguing about you didn't take the trash out, and I tell you every day to take the trash out, and we keep going over that, well, it's no point in me saying that's why your mama ain't got no teeth.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You don't jump into something else.
Yeah.
Trying to fight if we're talking about this subject. It's called staying on message. Stay on your point.
Staying on message, and
Right.
the truth of the matter is, they both threw some mud, but she really went back in time and
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Right. So we do that. And so we have to just look at that most of us, because we argue, we're not going to break up. Most of us have unresolved issues, and we bring them up in every fight, those same issues. We're not going to solve that. And I always jokingly say that you never really know that you're in love until you look over to your mate and think, I could kill him. And then
and then you don't and then you resist. I get it.
right. But we do that. And as I said, we learn that in the home. Now, the fact that we had the two-parent home, the one-parent home, well, now we have the no-parent home. And so you're talking about children and young people now raising themselves, and they're learning how to quarrel and argue with each other, either from the streets or from the videos that are violent, from the rap videos and things like that. And we can't say that those things don't have an impact on our behavior, because you have never seen one commercial. The commercials run all day. Repeat means everything. And after we start bullying that into our heads, allowing our children to listen, go to sleep with earphones in their ear and listening to a lot of nonsense around the clock, they'll fight you about their cell phones and different things, because they have created, the manufacturers have made it addictive for us, and we have addictive personalities because we don't have no self. And that's another reason I want to add that we turn into another person in a movie. When we play a person and do a biopic, we actually turn into them, because we're an empty vessel. We can put anything in there. We can be anybody. We can be anything.
You say we do that because we have no self.
Yeah.
Whew. That's deep.
Well,
I have a list of questions, but I'm going to ask you to expound on that. We have no self.
Well, there's an example. Right now, due to this border crisis thing that they're talking about, and the immigrants invading the country and so forth, we got 195 nations of different people coming in here. These people, most of them, the majority of them, have not been enslaved. So they have their own culture, knowledge of their culture, how they dress, as I said, how they eat, how they raise their children, what their politics are, what their religious beliefs are, how they decorate their homes, how they handle outside of their homes, their hygiene habits, their sanitation. They have already these ideas. And so when they come here, they will set up their ideas and start to live that way. We're going to start to smell all kinds of different foods on the street. We're going to see all kinds of children dressed in clothes. They're not wearing Louis Vuitton. They're not concerned about plaids and stripes together. They don't have any of that nonsense that we have been taught here. As a result of them erasing our history, essentially, we have adopted things from all over the place. We have mixed up different African fabrics and hats and so forth together because we don't know which one is which. We came here from different tribes. You can see the different shapes of our noses. You can see people wear their hair different ways. You can see black people with different kind of jewelry on. Those are different tribes. These are different people that's embedded in us, but we don't know how to express it because we don't have the history. They beat our history out of us. And so now the things we do, we think it's our choice. We have tried to normalize our captivity and act like that we're not living in a hostile environment and that integration solved all our problems. And so therefore, everything we do now is by choice, but it isn't. And I do have a book called Are You Still a Slave? It's a test book. It lets you take a test, a couple of tests, and find out how much of a slave are you still acting like even without a slave master.
You mentioned that book, and it was probably I should have talked about your past more in terms of the things that you've done and the impact that you have made. You don't just have that book, you have several books, and I want to touch on them. And I want to suggest to our viewers, pay close attention to what I'm getting ready to say, and that if you find yourself engaged in the reading and the understanding of some of the wisdom that are contained within what Miss Ali, Shahrazad Ali, has imparted, I think it'll make your life a little better.
Oh, it'll
So
change your life.
here's some here's some of the books: The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, and The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Mind. And you say in the one, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, read it before she does. Why you say that?
Listen, I don't have to tell you that got me in a lot of trouble too, okay? Well, because one of the reasons I wrote the book is because you all have been so naive about our behavior and motivations and our expressions and the double meanings of some of the things we do. You all have just been in the blind for many, many years. And I wanted to level that playing field because we have studied you all intently. We know what to say to make you happy. We know what to say to make you insanely mad. We know more about you than you know about us. We not only know more about you, we've told everybody else about you. The black woman is the only woman in America who goes out publicly and talks about her man. We don't know what the Chinese man do. We don't know what he does, how he act in the house, how he deal with this. We don't know that. We don't know what the Arabs do. It's a lot of people here. We don't know what those men do. The Latinos.
So
we don't know what they do. But everybody know what y'all do because we told them.
Man, so you are suggesting that a mate in the black community, a woman, that is culturally specific to the black community, that by and large, she is the only one that goes out and kicks the black man.
Kinda, yeah. that's exactly what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And it has made you more vulnerable to a lot of other criticism from other people because the only way they know about you is through us because you all not telling them. We tell them. And I wanted, as you asked about the book, I wanted to level that playing field and let you all know more of what's going on. Now, some of it has backfired. The book did produce Kevin Samuels, my boy, and he's my spiritual son, I call it. And he came out and took it a step further. I tried to, what I consider was gently tell people about our situation and to stop us from controlling you all with not only insults, but with sex. There have been a lot of things we have been able to manipulate our men with just based on those things. Plus, we convince you to tell us your secrets. And then the first time we get mad, then we go and tell them. We'll tell the police. We'll tell your mama. We'll tell your children. We'll tell anybody. And so I'm trying to get us to stop practicing that, to pull that back. And if we speak a good word for our men, that if we defend you publicly, like they defend their men. If the white woman have a husband and he go out and he kill 10 people, when they go to court, she holding his arm and they go in there together and she sit there with him and then they go home and the children are there and they do everything. When you all tend to do different things, we not only abandon you, then we tell everything else bad that we know about you. And that's not the way to build a nation. It's not the way to repair the man that the white man has destroyed.
Man, I do not in any stretch of the imagination want anyone to think that I come here today with any type of an agenda to bash Black women. We come for
no.
I'm
a Black woman. I got Black granddaughters. I got Black children, Black girls and children. So I'm not trying to bash us.
No.
But we can't have a better man till we have a better woman.
Okay. And to that end, I had a question that dovetails to some of what you were talking about there. And the quote was from you: women overvalue themselves because they control sex.
Yeah.
Can you expound on that?
Well, we have a new type of young woman today. And that type of young woman believes that she does not have to have any other qualifications to mate with a man other than bring sex. And they have some kind of ridiculous idea that a man is supposed to house, feed, and clothe them and their children, buy them anything they want, give them money, and pay their bills, as they say, and do everything for them. And all they're going to bring to the table is their vagina. And so that makes it very difficult, and it confuses our men, because nature made you to be attracted to us to procreate and made us to be attracted to you. We are not independently here. The egg in us would lay there forever if the man didn't fertilize the egg. The life comes from the sperm. It don't come from the egg. And so we feel that since we carry the baby, it's put in us, that gives us a greater power, because we can reproduce you, but we can't reproduce you without you. So it's lopsided on that end too. But we have used sex because that's what we were taught in our ancestral slave history. That was our only value. That was the only thing we had to negotiate with. And we have come full circle, that we have produced a generation of young women who believe that their only value is sex. So we have put your total focus and mind just on sex, because that gives us a captive audience for whatever that period of time is, where you are focused just on us and not on the other life issues that you need in order to survive and protect your family and build wealth for yourself.
Okay, let's stay there. Let's stay there for a moment, because, I've intentionally tried to prepare for this and, get your thoughts, understand your statements. And one of them was that you made a comment about the value of having face-to-face sex, as opposed to what I think you characterized as some other deviant alternatives. And I'm going to tell you something. That captured my attention because I have I have some folks that are distant family members, and it is females that I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And I see some of the stuff that they say publicly via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
Oh yeah.
whatever it is. And their willingness to share publicly what
Yeah.
seems to me would be stuff, and I ain't nobody's Pollyanna, but seems to be just vulgar
Yes.
rash. And their willingness to talk about it publicly.
That's all
So
they talk
so
about.
you mentioned face-to-face sex versus the alternatives, and I'd like for you to say more about that here.
Well, I knew that there was something going on. See, each generation has their own trends of how they do, how they dress, how they have sex. You know, whatever the trend is for that particular generation, that's what they express and that's what they put out front and talk about. So I started talking to the young women and I said, what is this about that when you all are being intimate, you want to be choked. You want men to spit in your mouth, and you all knocking the women's back out and getting yourself injured and all kind of things. I said, what is that? I said, that sounds to me like hostility. You know, we used to call that making love. You all not making no love. You making hate. I say, what is that about? And one of the young women, a college student, said to me, well, yeah, I like to be choked sometimes. Now, this is a huge leap to decide that sex, which was designed to be pleasurable to procreate, is now being used as a hostile, almost a fighting motion to being choked. How is that connected to pleasure? And I asked her that. I said, well, how did that feel good? What are you talking about? She said, well, you know, you just like it sometimes. I want to be slapped. Yeah, it's all right. And these are so-called intelligent women. You're upward bound. I'm not talking about just somebody I found on the street. And when I listened to them, I recognized how crazy it was. So I looked into it further. And I came up on the information that humans are the only mammals that mate face to face. All of the other animals, it don't matter who it is. Yeah. And so they have taken sex and turned it into something that we wouldn't even define as sex. Now, I've been out here since 1985. That's more than most people, the young people I talk to, they weren't even born. And so they don't have certain foundational information that maybe we grew up with about the word normal or routine or basic. They don't understand those tactics. They have come up with other things. And because they don't have any cultural information to tie them to their own people or their own tribe, they're just making it up as they go and they're getting suggestions from their music, they're getting suggestions from their movies, and they're getting it from just whatever their basic instincts are. And so this has created, they acting like animals. That ain't no sex. You know, all of our music was a baby, I miss you. In the 60s, I love you. I want to be back with you. Come and spend time with me. We need to be together. Well, that music is that I'm gonna knock your back out. Come over here and spit in my mouth. And crazy stuff that we would consider just absurd. And how does that get connected to sex? It may be something to do, but I don't think it is sexual. I think they got some other ideas that maybe haven't even been revealed yet. And so I'm sorry that that's like that because it has robbed them of some understanding of things. But when you reject certain truths, you have nothing left but lust.
Man, um, that's troubling. That that's troubling. Let me ask you,
Yes.
one of your books, How to Tell If Your Man Is Gay or Bi. Don't answer yet, because what I want to say
I,
is give an opportunity for you to tell my viewers how they can get in touch with you, how they might be able to get some of the materials that you have, some of the books that you've written, some of your just how can folks study Shahrazad Ali?
Well, part of the problems that I have had, brother, is that I'm sometimes before my time.
Yeah.
Okay. When I came up, people can't believe that I wrote the Black Man's Guide. It was back in 1990 because it's so relevant to the day. And people are always amazed at that. They say, I can't believe it. It's like you live in the house with me. I said, no, but we all different. We're not different. We are all the same. We think we different, and we try to pretend we different by our clothes and our education. But we are not different because we all have the same ancestral slave history, which put certain things in us that we haven't been able to shake off. Because the first thing we have to do to shake off our ancestral slave history is get a white man back his God, and we refuse to do that. We need to give him back his name. We refuse to do that. We think these things are not important, but they didn't do anything to us that wasn't important. Everything was designed to rob us of ourselves and make them the people that are the best. When actually, you are the best. We have the best man on the planet. Everybody want our man but us. And that's what it was designed to do. All of the things that have been put in us. But it's very difficult now because we function almost as enemies. We don't function as helpmates. If a man asks a woman these days to prepare a meal, many of our women tell them, I ain't your mama. But they didn't stop eating when they was just with their mother. Food is what sustains life. We don't even teach cooking anymore. Our women don't know how to prepare a meal, how to actually cook with food. And so that's a problem because that's a problem for your health as Black men and our children. Because what you eat generally determines what your health is going to be for the next 20, 30, or 40 years. It's what you put in your body. So preparing food is very important. But that's something that also has been kicked to the curb. We don't have people to do that. If you want to cook today, you got to go to cooking school because you're not going to learn it at home. So anyway, but back what you were saying, it's just so many things. And I want to get different things out there because as you said, these books are life changing. And anything that you read in them will help you change your life. It's not going to help me change mine.
So let our viewers know now, and I want to do this again because I think it's important, how folks can get in touch.
Well, you have my QR code. Yeah, you have my QR code.
Yeah.
And you have my Cash App code for those that say they really love me. And you have my email. I'm at Sister Shahrazad Ali at yahoo.com. But I don't really have to talk to everybody. I cannot talk to thousands of people a month. And everybody got a question that I don't have time. I'll starve to death, But anyway, you can reach me there. And then I have a lot of other videos that people have taken and put on YouTube and Instagram and just taking snippets and clips and things. But that, my books are available on Amazon and eBay. I stopped trying to do the Facebook and all of that because it just went so crazy and people would hack it every other week.
I don't,
but that's how you can.
I don't want this to sound like the end of the interview because it's not. But Sister has books. The Black Guide, the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Blackwoman.
You can't tell them.
The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. Are you still a slave? How to tell if your man is gay. Things parents should have told you. Folks, I'm telling you, do yourself a favor and get some of this material. Now, I'm gonna leave that there. Now, we were down, and you were talking about what women aren't doing, and I went to where it says how to tell if your man is gay or bi.
Well, I had to stop production on that. I don't release that anymore because you know how the gay community is, and I didn't want that book to define me.
Yeah.
And they were jumping on that and they were going crazy and we were going through a lot. But that's a very important issue because so many now, we have young people who don't consider it being gay if a man has sex in the rectum with another man. They don't consider it being gay if a woman has sex with another woman. They'll go with a man one week and a woman the next week. So they have changed a lot of the mores of how you maintain a civilized society. And so I wanted to back out of that very gently. And so the book, How to Tell If Your Man is Gay or Bisexual, it was wonderful, but I don't print that anymore because I have other important issues. That's not what my legacy is. My legacy is trying to get us back together to have a better child and a better future.
If you would address what is so prevalent, and that is the black man's propensity, especially notable, high profile, wealthy celebrities, athletes, politicians, black politician, male politician, born a man, their propensity to be so desirous of either very light-skinned women and more desirable to them, it seems, the white women. Now, I had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the studio to interview him. I was really excited about it. I had want to talk about his history. I've been a fan like forever.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I wanted to ask him was what he thought. He tends to be a cerebral guy. What he thought about the issue of Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, and so many other black folks, Hollywood celebrity, and as I said, politicians and the rest, why they choose white women. I wanted his explanation because he was one of them. He was one of them. And so I want to ask you what your thoughts are.
Well, it's a long history of desire. When your enemy is so big and you can't seem to win over him physically because he got all the guns and the weapons, the land, the power, then you try to attack what he has presented as what he values most. See, you could have children of every color across the spectrum by any woman. Doesn't matter who the woman is, what nationality she is, you are going to show up in that baby. But the white man is not like that. The only thing that can reproduce him as a 100% white man, if there's such a thing, is another 100% white woman. And so the number one, I think, recessive issue that our men have had is that if they get a white woman, that they first of all getting back at the white man because they taking his woman and doing to her the things that they did to his woman. And that if a black man is successful and he walks in a room where there are other big successful white people, and if he's in there with a sister, he'll just be recognized as the black people have showed up. But if he show up with a white woman, she's his introduction. She can get him in because she's going to get recognition. Don't matter what he's done, she's going to get the recognition first. And so that brings him in. That's the number two reason. The number three reason is that the white woman has not been through the kind of trauma that we have been through as black women. So she ain't as mad as we are. She's not as disappointed as we are. And she mad at the white man too. And so that's another one of her ways of getting him back. See, white women are easier for those black men to get along with because she is dealing with, I'm going to have a tea today. I'm going to volunteer at the art museum and all of that. Where we sitting up talking about how we going to pay the gas bill. You know, where was you at last night? I'm tired of taking the bus. You ain't being a father to your children. You know, we got a litany, a long list of excuses and assaults. And a lot of times these things are true. But because of how we present them, we don't get the outcome that we would like to have and the cooperation we would like to have, which don't have nothing to do with money, incidentally. And certainly we need money. But the things that we need to repair ourselves is not financial in regard to the man-woman relationship. But we want something that we think gives us a little bit. As I said, our men want something, and they don't care what it costs, because them white women don't necessarily like the rest of the black people, but they like the black man that's got money. And the moment that they break up, they show you who they really are. And the other bad thing about that for us is that they take their resources to the white community, because she's going to make sure that her people are taken care of. And our men don't as much make sure that we're taken care of, because when a man get married, he gets pulled to his wife's side just automatically almost. That's just how that is, you know. And the wife has more say-so. She has more authority, and she has more pull because she's sleeping with him.
That's big. That is big. I'm jumping around because I know I got a whole bunch of questions I can't get to. So I'm gonna hit you with this one. You advocated that boys need to play with dolls.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and you certainly have a thread that runs through much of what you say, where you advocate for black men being strong and for black women to support the strength of the black man. And you say boys need to be taught to play with dolls. Please explain.
Well, I think that we all slept at. You know, we have spent generations talking about we need to develop better mothers and teach motherhood. But it should be obvious to us by now that we also need to teach fatherhood. I think we had some kind of misunderstanding that men would automatically know how to be fathers and husbands. And that's not true. They went through the same purging of our identity through our ancestral slave history that's been passed down generation after generation. I think we about 18 generations up from slavery, and we still acting like slaves to each other first. And so we can't have a good mother if you got a bad father. That doesn't match. And so a lot of times we've noticed over the years that if a woman meet a man, and I've been teaching this since 1992, and she bring that man home and say, listen, I'm going to run to the grocery store, and she might go out shopping and stay 2 or 3 hours and leave her little children there with a man she just met yesterday. She don't know nothing about him. Don't even know if that's his real name. And then he do something to the children. He beat them. I'm not even talking about just sexual abuse. I mean, he beat them. He hit them with his fist, knock them down. And I also noticed that if a man's playing a video game and the little children intervene, a lot of men have killed those children, kicked them, stomped them in the stomach, knocked them out with their fists, hit them in the chest, and did a lot of things. And they don't have any self-control with dealing with children. And I figured out it's because they're not familiar with babies and little children. So while we buying the little girls dolls, because we figure they're going to grow up and be a mother, we need to get our men dolls, because they're going to grow up and be a father. And they need to know how to hold a baby, how to deal with the child if it's crying. That's another time that our men have a tendency to beat the child, to thinking that that's going to make them stop crying, hit them with their fist. Is ridiculous. And so we need men who are familiar also. So when they get to playing house, let him play the daddy and let her play the mama, and let him change the baby diaper, let him pat the baby on the back and do all the things that you would do with a little child, so that they are more familiar with that role instead of thinking that's just something that women do. And I think that would also help them not be so susceptible to walking away from their children and acting like that didn't even happen, because they don't have any connection to a baby and their life and what their needs are. So yeah, we need to let our boys play with dolls so they'll know how to handle and deal with a baby and how to be fathers. We need to teach motherhood and fatherhood.
Should those, because one would say if you teach a little boy to play with dolls, then you are leading him towards femininity and homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my question there is, Should they be should they be boy dolls? Should they be, because I understand what
Of
you're saying.
course
I
they should be
understand the
right.
value and the importance of socializing a young man, a young boy, how to
Hmm.
treat a baby tenderly and children tenderly. I
That's right.
definitely understand that.
Yes. I think that that's a misnomer. I think we have some confusion about that because we have boys who were raised up with football players and construction workers, and they still turn out to be
Hmm.
gay if that's their
Hmm.
idea. Plus, don't forget this. We can never leave this out. We have had 400 and some odd years of a bad diet, bad water, bad medications, and so it's very possible that we have been given different chemicals in our body that have tended to change our identities and change our feelings and change our hormones that create people who want to be somebody other than themselves because that's all the options that we've had. We've mimicked everybody. We've tried, used to call it talking white. We have tried to be white people, you know. We have tried to be Asian. We have tried to be almost everybody because we don't know we should be because we, as even our black historians, we can't agree on the history. And so, no, that's not going to turn him into being gay. Well, if that's the case, when your man grow up and be a father, he don't turn gay because he changed his baby diaper or because he pat him on the back. But that's among
Okay.
civilized men.
Okay.
But men who have been raised by women and who have a feminine attitude and who have a feminine emotional aspect in them, they are not going to learn how to do those things. They're not going to switch manhood. They just automatically have the female mechanism. See, as women, we have to remember we talk more with our eyes with a child than with our mouth. They can look in our face and tell how we really feel no matter what we're saying out of our mouth. They know us. They've been looking in our face since they were born. And they know our emotions. And men will mimic that if that's all he's around. That's what they'll do.
Please unpack this for me. Chris Rock is on the stage. He makes a joke about Jada Pinkett. Will Smith gets up, marches up, slaps him in the face. Some people opine that part of where that came from was the fact that Jada Pinkett had what she called an entanglement with her son's friend who was about the same age.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Well, that's another problem that we have in not having proper standards. We don't have boundaries anymore. We don't have boundaries for senior citizens. It used to be that old people and babies were the protected species. Everybody respected them. You could be someplace and somebody curse, and somebody else will tell them, man, don't be cursing in front of her. Don't be cursing in front of that woman, that sister, that grandma, or whatever. And if it's a baby, people back up and let the woman through with the baby stroller or something. Well, see, we don't live like that anymore because it was not taught. You have to be taught everything. We think we're getting it from ourselves, but we're not. All of the evil that we practice, we learned it. We were programmed for it. We were taught it. And until now, it's even a mental illness in that sense. But there were just no boundaries. And in a lot of situations, we have women who are going with their daughter's man. We have daughters who are going with their mother's man. This is the kind of ignorance that we are practicing. And when I say ignorance, I don't mean dumb. I mean to ignore the truth. That in every civilization, you have to have certain standards to maintain civilization. It's not willy-nilly. You can't do everything. There is no freedom without responsibility. Nobody can just go around doing anything and think everything is going to turn out all right. It doesn't work that way.
Got to have guard posts, got to have some barriers.
You got to have some rules. You got to have something that has to be your standard that is civilized. Our children don't know what civilized means. A lot of our grandchildren certainly don't. And I've looked at that. You remember when our people started getting mixed up about what respect was? Instead of respect being dignified and honoring people, not cursing or acting savage around people, not talking bad and cursing out adults and teachers and everything. Instead of it being that, respect got to be, don't step on my shoe. You got to respect me. Don't lean on my car. Respect my car. And respect turned into being something that was physical instead of something that you actually practice to keep a certain standard of behavior maintained and to keep civilization. The purpose of education is to civilize people. And the fact that the public school education has been going down the drain for the past 30 years, and that's when they took home economics out of the school and they took shop out for the boys. When they took those things out, then we don't have any standard to civilize our people. And I say all the time, we are the only people in America or in any foreign country who turn their children over to the enemy to educate them. Of course, they're going to miseducate them. Why wouldn't they? They want to keep us slaves. They want to keep using us as a tool. They want to keep control of our men, and they want to use us to do it. And that's what we don't recognize. The white man don't think the black man is better than you. He don't think that the black woman is better than you. That's what I mean. He don't think we good. He don't think we so great. But if he can use us to hold you down and to destroy the little bit of ego you got left, then that's what he'll do. And that's where all that nonsense come from, that we the backbone of the black community. There's no other community in America where they point at the woman and say she is the backbone of the community. The white woman knows she ain't the backbone of the white community. She knows she not, and she stay in her lane most of the time and just do what she's allowed to do. Every advancement that they claim that they have given us that we think we earned, we ain't earned nothing. Because white men decide every law and every rule in America. They're going to decide what you can do and what you can't do. So if they can use us to keep our children dumb, to keep our man under our thumb, to keep his mind on sex instead of building and trying to do something for himself, we are just a nation and a nation like every other nationality in this country. But we are the most dependent people here in this country because we got convinced, as I said, that integration would solve all of our problems and everything would eventually level out. Well, it hasn't leveled out. It's more bumpy than it's ever been. And we are losing everything that we thought, as I said, we had gained. We are still a dependent slave in this country. Us doing something for ourselves does not mean that we are seceding or separating from this country. And I always use the food as an example. The Africans, the Asians, the Italians, the Latinos, the Arabs, don't matter who it is, they all have a food path. They have food in their stores that they have imported in. They have food in their stores that they raised on a farm somewhere. They have stores with food and cans that we can't even read the language, but it's for them. We don't have a food path. If we don't get our food from the white man, we don't have no food. We don't understand that because we think he's going to continue to feed us and give us food stamps. But we don't have a food path. See, if the white man don't feed those nationalities I just listed, they have a place to get their food. They can still bring their food in if they got to bring it in on horseback. They can do those things. But we don't have anywhere to get food. The only food, and they can control us with the food. They do control us with the food by teaching our women to just buy junk food as quicker and not to prepare proper nutrition for our family. They're controlling us with food now.
And your position would be that is intentional. That is by that's another form of oppression.
Yes.
Okay, I gotta ask you about then, because as you're saying that, and it's simply a reality. It makes me think about a slightly built man who some say had a speech impediment, but who communicated a vision for the lost found nation in America, whatever. But it's like you are expressing a multitude of issues and have done so. And it's like the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad seem to address all of what you're talking about. There's the argument. I think the argument can be made that aside from the onslaught of racist propaganda and character assassination, that Elijah Muhammad can be viewed as the, if not the one of the most important Black people that have ever walked the grounds of the United States.
That's true. And if we had been able to have the strength to continue on with the programs that he had for us and designed for us, which was actually first to clean up ourselves, to get our dignity back and do something for ourselves, respect our women, be parents to our children, and be able to feed ourselves. It's a very basic need. If we had stuck with that instead of ego growing, we would have been in a better condition today. He gave us a demonstration of what having your own strip malls, of what having your own farms, your cannery factories, your airlines, your schools, all kinds of things. He showed us this how you do it. You can do it. It's not impossible. Everybody else is doing it. So you can have some control over your destiny. And if we had stayed with that, then we certainly would be in a better position today, where it's almost like we have regressed.
Are you familiar with the intense rivalry between Black men and women today on social media platforms? And what's
Yeah.
your
Yes, I am. And it's very sad. As I said, that's one of the things I think that we as Black women have done to contribute to that. I didn't think I would ever live to see a day when adult Black women, we're not talking teenagers, would go on the Instagram or the Facebook and put their naked behind to the camera for the whole world to see. Because this is an insult to all of us as Black women. Because people from all over the world, which is what the technology allows, look at that and think that that's the Black woman in America. And they think that all of us are like that. So they come here already disrespecting us. And that's another reason I'm concerned about these immigrants coming here. A Mexican hate a Black man more than he hate the Klan. I would rather have the Klan come in than the Mexicans because they hate you. And the problem with that also is that our women are not going to let no men show up that they don't go and have sex with and start having a bunch of half-breed children. It's not going to happen. So when those men get here, our women are going to start mating with them, and probably our men are going to mate with the women. So we keep doing things to wipe our own self out. And that's unfortunate that we tend to do that. And people say what I talk is old school. Now what I'm talking is what's going on now. This has not expired. I wish it would. I didn't make this up. This is actually going on. These are the things that are happening in America today that are damaging our image worldwide. And it makes you look like you don't have no control over your women because we're out there doing any and everything. But they keep that nonsense up online. As I said again, you don't see a bunch of white women on there talking about they man and going back and forth. What you see is us. And the Black man who has been, as we know, infiltrated with ideas of being feminine. He don't have to be gay to be feminine. Okay? Because he's been raised by a woman and he act like her. And so we out there fighting, as I said again, we arguing with another woman instead of another man. Because a man is not going to participate in that with a woman because he know how women are. And he knows it's how you start out with them, how they're going to act. But our men are dealing with the double whammy. They haven't been taught manhood. They've been taught how to survive, maybe in how to live and eat and dress or something, but they haven't been taught manhood. So whatever they're doing, they're thinking it up in their head. They're looking at videos or they're watching somebody else that's the same age as them. And so we need new teachers. We can't have new teachers until we have new schools. We can't have a school that white people control and teach them the truth. They're not going to allow that.
that makes me ask you, come back to this. one of your books, Are You Still a Slave? Your
Yeah.
byline there says recovering from post-traumatic stress, recovering from post-traumatic stress, the post-traumatic stress of slavery. Can you
I think that,
what you talking
yeah,
about, Willis?
I think all of us have post
Yeah.
traumatic stress. All of us got post
Mm-hmm.
traumatic stress. We don't know how to always
Mm-hmm.
identify it. But that's what, as I said, that one book, Are You Still a Slave, is very enlightening. Now, of course, the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, every black man need a copy of that and pass it on to his son so that he can have a heads up before he gets out here and try to mate. We don't know how to mate. Where would we learn it from? We don't know how to parent. Where would we learn it from? If we didn't come up with older people who passed down information that our people will listen to. But our people, our children have been taught to disregard what we say. They taught them that on television when they start letting the children talk back to their parents and curse their parents out and make demands of their parents. That was taught. And because we felt we didn't have any control over the television dial, like we don't have no control over the cell phones, they've made those things dangerous because there are many cases where if a parent take away that cell phone, the child burn the house down or kill the parents. This is how addictive they've made this stuff to us.
I went
This don't and the cell phones have broke up more relationships than we can think of because people find them. They find out that the man or the woman is with somebody else. It creates a big problem. They have a big fight. Sometimes they kill each other with that. So this stuff has been detrimental for us. It has not been beneficial.
Okay, I was talking about recovering from post-traumatic stress, and I think this delves into it. And I'm responding to what you just said. I went to an all segregated black elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
So left the sixth grade, went to junior high school to an integrated school. It was when I was in the eighth grade that I had turned 14 before I had heard, I lived in a black community. I was 14 before I had heard a child cuss his parent.
Right.
One of my teammates, the pitcher on my team, his dad said something to him of encouragement. He told him to go to hell and used every other F-bomb that he could think of.
Mm-hmm.
It shocked the hell out of me that
Right.
black kids did not talk to black parents that way.
No.
Did we do like Martin Luther King said that he was afraid of? We integrated into a burning house.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have to tell people like me that because the unrealized Muhammad had already told us about that. And he gave us standards and a way of life to replace the slave master's ideas. And so we didn't have children that were behaving like that when they're young. But they have grown up now, our children and grandchildren, and got into this world since we didn't prepare another world for them. And now they're doing many of those same things. But we were always more civilized than them. Remember, we came from a civilized area, East and West Africa. We came from more civilized areas. These beasts came out of the caves and hillsides of Europe. And just like the immigrants coming over here now, they're sending every pedophile, every robber, every killer, every anybody that's doing anything bad, they're emptying out their country and sending them over here. Well, that's out of their playbook. This is what they've always done. But we have always been civilized. We are the most conservative people in America. We really, if anybody was going to be with the party of Lincoln, it should have been us. Because we are more conservative than the people that we have produced, because we allowed them to be infiltrated and around all kinds of filth and ignorance that these other people practice. There was a time when you didn't have a black serial killer. There was a time when you didn't have black children chopping off their mama's head. You didn't have black children shooting their father. We didn't practice a lot of that, although it was practiced in these other communities. We didn't do it. But as a result of being, that's why we have to have separation, because we have to be removed from the kind of evil and filth that's practiced here so we can get back to ourselves. We are living other than ourselves. And we think, which, as I said, we keep trying to normalize it and act like this is just how it is. It's only how it is because we are allowing it to be that way, because we're not willing to make the kind of sacrifices that are required to get our future generations in order. I could look at a great great granddaughter of mine and wonder, who is she gonna marry? Where's the black man gonna come from? It don't matter who it is. Whatever come out here, they all gotta come through our womb. We gotta birth it and teach it and raise it up. There ain't no magic in it. You're not gonna just be born in America and know how to act. We see how people in America act. And we act like, as I said, we don't have any control. We just floating around doing anything, accepting anything. And that brings us back to that topic you had about, can a woman raise a black man? The answer is no. We can feed him and clothe him, give him a place to live, and take care of him, but we cannot raise a black man because we can't teach him how to stand, how to sit, how to handle his emotions, how to process them, how to behave, and how to protect himself. We put our men out here, our boys, vulnerable because we have refused to tell him who his open enemy is. We have made him vulnerable to anybody can kill him and do anything to him because we have told him that he's equal. We have not told him that there's some people out here that want to kill you every day, and that any opportunity you give them, they're going to do it. We didn't teach them that because we thought integration would solve that. We didn't tell him, be careful of them. They're not your friend. You can interact with them and, of course, be civilized, but don't think that they're your friend. And of all the things you do, don't go marry your enemy's daughter. Don't bring that into our bloodline. We didn't tell our boys none of that. And so they out here doing anything, thinking it's just natural. Our children, just like many of us do, two things we doing wrong. We think good sex means love. That's one thing. And the second thing is that we think that love is a disease. You catch love. I can't help it. I just love him. I just fell in love with him. That's not true. Love is a decision. You can decide you love somebody, but they can do something and you decide, I don't love them no more. We know it's a decision. Yeah, I hate him, in fact. It's not a disease. We have control over that. We think attraction is love. It's just all mixed up. And we're getting old. I'm getting old. We have not, you were talking about the school you went to. We have not produced a sensible black leader who is for us since integration. Pick him out. Tell me who he is. He certainly ain't Barack Obama. He was the worst black president or white president we've ever had for black people. So it wasn't him. We have not had a good black leader since integration started. Because you can't produce a good black leader in a white womb. You can't do it. When you put a child in a mixed school, I got two sisters who put their children in those white schools where you pay high tuition because they thought they would get a better education. Both of them today got two white girls pregnant.
Okay.
That's what we got. That's what we pay for.
By the authority invested in me today on this show, I am going to proclaim you to be Queen Shahrazad Ali. And as Queen, I am going to ask you to speak to your subjects, first to the black man and then to the black woman. Just give them one piece of advice each, because I would ask you a whole bunch of stuff, but time prevents that. So Queen Shahrazad Ali, speak to your male subject and your female subject.
I certainly will. I think for our women, we do have a lot of courage and we have a lot of strength. We can do anything. We are the most beautiful woman on the planet. Don't let anybody reduce us to just being a sexual object for anybody. That's not all we are. So when a man asks you, what do you bring to the party? You figure out how to tell him, I can sew a button on. I can plan a dinner party. I can fix a delicious meal. I can help you keep your clothes and house clean. I can raise civilized children that you'll be proud of. And I can act like a lady when I go out. I don't have to take my clothes off to be beautiful. And for our men, I would tell you the first thing is to be in charge of your own fertility. You make sure that you do something to keep from just spreading your seed around in places that you don't know how it's going to turn out. That's you in the future. You don't have to claim it. It's still you. Somebody's going to claim it somewhere. You are the first man on the planet that God created. He didn't make all of the other nationalities and then make you. He made you first. You are the greatest man on the earth. You have lost your way because of your open enemy. But you can get that information back. You don't have to join nothing. You ain't got to contribute to nothing. You can go study up enough information so that you can be the man that God designed you to be. You are in the image of God. Every time you look at a black man, it might be the closest to God we ever get. So that's who we need. We need you to step up and for you to put some standards on your women. If your woman come outside naked, tell her to go put some clothes on or leave her where she is. She's putting your life in danger and is setting a bad example for your sons. So that would be my only little message,
Well, I
Rob.
tell you what, I appreciate all that you have said. And I want to invite those who are watching, subscribe to our channel, look and find Miss Ali's information. I said earlier and I'm going to say it again. I think it could make your black life better. And for if any white folks out there looking, it'll give you some understanding also.
Right.
So
I ain't teach them. They got the truth.
thank you so much. I have so much more, which means we got to do this again.
Yeah, we maybe can do a part 2 next summer or something.
Might not be that long. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day and enjoy yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've always cared about you and I have enjoyed this and you're a great host and I appreciate everything you do to help our people.
Thank you. Folks, that's our show for today. Subscribe to the channel, like, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to read your comments. We're going to wrap it. Have a great life.